warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A pleasant morning to all of you, especially to our instructor, Ma'am Baidona Aliman. By the way, my name is Siti Farisafi Ayub, B.Ed student. In this video presentation, I'm going to discuss to you our lesson 12, which is gamification in teaching English. So, that is our topic in this video. And for us to gain courage to understand our topic, let's define our learning outcomes in this lesson.
Learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, the student can: number 1, identify elements of games; number 2, suggest ways to improve teaching using gamification; and number 3, incorporate gamification in teaching English.
Those are the learning outcomes that is expected for you at the end of this video presentation. And again, our topic is gamification in teaching English. Gamification from the word game. And I know every one of you already have an idea what is meant by game. A game is something like when a person engage in activities or play, and probably there is a winner and there is a loser. And sometimes game is a competition between people. It can be individually or groups. As according to the definition, gamification is the integration of game-like mechanics in traditionally non-gaming scenarios. Gamification, in other words, is when we integrate game in our teaching process. For instance, I am a teacher in grade 3 pupils or grade 3 learners, and the topic that I have to discuss to them is about sentence. So, I have to create a game activities that is related to that topic. And that game can help my learners to easily understand our topic, and most importantly, through that games, I can get the fully attention of my learners for them to engage in our discussion. In school, gamification has been incorporated in various aspects of education. As we can observe in our school, students are encouraged to join or participate in different activities in school where they can enjoy, at the same time they can learn, because through those game or any activities that could be encouraged the student to attend their schooling. Before, the teacher can only integrate gaming in outdoor activities, but now teaching the lesson. And don't forget that gamification is not as handling the learners a game to play, because there are many things the teacher has to consider before they can effectively integrate game in lesson. And in order for us to effectively implement game in our teaching, we have the 4 elements that are at the core of the gamification. First, we have the engagement games are naturally engaging. The most successful games are the ones that are naturally engaging to the player. So, it means the effective games are those games where the player can naturally engage. They can participate and play actively. It's something like they are the one who act in order to achieve their goal. They are the one who think for any strategy to respond in or to complete their task. Next, we have the opportunities for practice games, provide the players with an opportunities to practice what they have learned in the past and let them apply this learning in new and creative ways. And through games, the learners can develop different skills and they also improve their knowledge because games provide opportunities for players to practice what they have learned. That is the one of the advantage of inflowing game activities in our teaching process. And assessment games do not stop play to assess the players' knowledge and skills. Yes, assessment is part of the game, and as we can observe, the players can easily improve their own knowledge and skills in ways because through engaging different games. Assessment is intrinsically integrated in the gameplay as a performance-based assessment. Feedback games continuously provide the players feedback to simply let them know how they are doing in the game's tally score and keep track of the players' progress throughout the gameplay. Feedback is clearly important in this teaching strategy. The player can simply evaluate their performance by looking at their score and players' record. As we can observe, there is two ways in recording the performance of the players. We have the individual records for each player and also team records by group records. Those are the four elements the teacher could consider in gamifying their learning experience. In the first element, the player should actively engage in the games in order to achieve their goals. And through engagement, probably they could learn from those experiences and it gives them the opportunities to learn and apply what they have learned. Now, let's proceed. In order to incorporate the games in learning experience, the teacher should consider the following.
First, the teacher should have a clear idea of the linguistic aims of the lesson. The teacher has to identify the linguistic aim of the lesson. Yes, before the teacher can integrate games in their teaching process, they have to be knowledgeable regarding their lesson. The teacher should ensure a lot of learners' interaction and productivity during lesson. As a teacher, we have to make sure that our learners can interact in the said gamified learning experience. We have to use a collaborative concept for them to interact effectively. Allow elements of learners' autonomy as they create and adapt rules and solve problems along the way. The teacher should allow the learners to discover their own way of learning by letting them create, adapt rules, and solve the problems along the way. As always, the teacher will act as a facilitator to support student learning process. Give accurate and actionable feedback on language and multiple points in the lesson. As a teacher, make sure that you will provide the feedback immediately to your learners and make sure that it is accurate and appropriate for the student to evaluate themselves. Allow the learners to have multiple opportunities to complete the game. In creating a game, the teacher should provide different opportunities for the learners since your learners has different abilities and you have to consider those. If there is a multiple opportunities, they can think critically and choose wisely.
Okay, so those are the important the teacher should consider before incorporating games in learning experience. And now, let's proceed on how could gamification be implemented in the classroom. So, here is the step that could be taken to gamify the lesson.
Number 1, we have the survey the learners. In order to determine the right gamification strategy for the learners, the teacher needs to pinpoint exactly where the learners are having trouble with. For instance, if slide presentation bore them, then adding interactive elements might improve learners' engagement. This is why surveying them is important. Teacher will be able to find ways to engage the learners better. It is very important because through surveying can help you as a teacher what appropriate strategy should you use. Step 2. Define the learning goals. Gamifying learning involves providing the learners with clear learning goals. This comes in two forms. First, learning which helps the learners understand concepts and skills. The other form is behavior which helps the learners work efficiently. Then the teacher can structure the lesson to meet these goals. Before the teacher can plan or organize his or her teaching process, he or she must define first their learning goals in each lesson so that those learning will be their guide. Step 3. Structure the gamified experience. This is where actual gaming elements are incorporated. At this part, the teacher will apply the game in the said learning experience. The teacher can adjust the scoring system for the lesson or activity. For example, instead of giving points or grades, the learners could be given experience point. Use it to track their progress in the lesson. Step 4. Identify resources for any activity. The teacher should also identify the resources needed to implement the lesson or activity. In step 4, we have also identified our resources for our games activity. Also, the learning materials should be available to avoid time waste just finding those needed materials. Step 5. Apply feedback mechanism. A big part of the success of game is because they provide learners immediate feedback of their progress. We all aware that giving feedback to our learners' performance is very significant. Also, gamification feedback is one way for the success of a game. Because through the feedback, we can identify what is the strength and weakness of a certain game. And to effectively implement the gamification in student learning experience, the teacher should provide an immediate appropriate feedback for their learners. As a teacher, we can give our feedback in different ways, especially in elementary grades, because our students are very active. They really love it when they receive a praise from us as their teacher. Or in a kindergarten, we can give them a star or strong. And those are the steps to implement gamification in classrooms.
As a future teacher, always remember the main objectives of gamification is to simple make learning fun and engaging to the learning. That will be all. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned.